There are a few things you need to know about me. 1, my name is Bolt. 2, I love Marvel Comics. And 3, get your grubby little hands off of Cloak and Dagger. She's mine. Welcome to Marvel Rivals. In case you've been living under a bunker for the last year, Marvel Rivals is a hot new free multiplayer hero shooter made by NetEase in association with Marvel Comics that is taking gaming by storm. With NetEase already confirming that in the first 72 hours, the game has had 10 million players currently logged into Marvel Rivals, which is not only one of the biggest launches in Steam history, but is one of the biggest multiplayer launches that I've seen in recent years. It's safe to say plenty of people are enjoying the game, and some people have even left Overwatch for this game considering its recent player numbers. Is this just a honeymoon phase for Marvel Rivals, or can Marvel Rivals rise to the top and become a staple multiplayer game for years to come? Only time will really tell. I've been playing with some of my friends for over 30 plus hours at the current time of writing, and I wanted to share some of my thoughts, opinions, concerns, and what I want to see for the future of Marvel Rivals as a live service. So let's get into it. I'm going to be real and upfront with you. I am really enjoying Marvel Rivals. I've been playing Rivals with a handful of really close friends right now, and they love Marvel Comics and they love multiplayer games, and we've been having an absolute blast. There are little to no server issues, no major crashes, no huge performance drops, or even major live service fumbles that we've seen in the past with games like Suicide Squad and Multiverses, making Marvel Rivals one of the cleanest multiplayer launches that I've seen all year. Kind of puts a shame to a lot of live service games like Concord that just swan dived into irrelevancy. The gameplay is very fun, being in similar vein to something like Overwatch, since it is a hero shooter. But the game has some unique features, a unique cast of characters that really make this game its own thing. Even the monetization and currency translation isn't too bad right now, and a lot of the store items are decently priced, but I will talk about some exceptions later on in the video. Plus, and unlike Multiverses, every character is unlocked at the very start, making it so even a new player can enjoy every character currently available. Warner Brothers is so dumb. The game even gives you a handful of suits for free as long as you play the game and engage in some of the achievements, which is super nice and pro-consumer for a live service title such as this. Before this game came out, I kind of did my due diligence and decided to re-download Overwatch 2, just to make sure I had a good comparison between Marvel Rivals when it launched and Overwatch 2 currently, because I haven't played Overwatch for a long time. And I gotta say, playing Overwatch 2 and then moving to Marvel Rivals is like escaping from an endless swamp that is constantly grabbing for your money for every single little thing. At its core, Rivals does share some gameplay fundamentals with Overwatch, which it is constantly compared to by a lot of game outlets, but delivers the hero shooter experience way better than Overwatch has done in the past half a decade. To prove my point, I'm going to be talking about the destruction and team-up mechanics. Now, like most modern hero shooters on the market, there is going to be some synergy between certain characters, and there are going to be natural counters that will be created based on that synergy. Marvel Rivals takes this concept and stretches it to be a more interesting mechanic by creating the team-up mechanic, where if one or more heroes are currently on the team, they will have a synergy ability that will allow them to access a unique ability that only those heroes specifically can. For example, Hulk can team up with Wolverine by grabbing Wolverine and throwing him at enemies, which is not only a great way to get Wolverine to the objective faster, but also lets him attack enemies in the air for a free move that he doesn't have to extend, making him more aggressive and making it possible for him to attack enemies sooner, and will allow you to attack enemies off guard. Another good team up is between Magneto and Scarlet Witch, which Magneto gets this huge ass metal sword thanks to Wanda's chaos magic that gives him a massive boost in damage and reach, which is great for him because he is a tank. There are tons of other team ups present in the game, around a dozen or so currently, and when they add even more characters, the team up possibilities are almost endless. Stage destruction, while not as game changing as team ups, provide a lot of variety and excitement to each match. In each map, some buildings and structures can be toppled over by attacking them enough. This has a few benefits. First being that it looks really cool in action when you and your team do it, but it also acts as a strategic option for the player, as it can get rid of sniper perches and escape routes, and can even slow down enemy players from certain objectives. It just really spices up each match and adds this chaotic factor to the game that really makes any match unpredictable. Another great part of this game that me and my friends have really been enjoying is the lore and dedication to representing these famous comic book characters faithfully. Honestly, there are going to be some changes to these characters due to the multiverse and time shenanigans present in the game's story, but all the backstories and character bios are really interesting for new and returning Marvel fans. Each character and team up in the game even have their own stories that tie in with a larger narrative of the game, which are super fun to read and add a much needed context to the game. Obviously, not everyone is going to be the biggest fan of reading these long lead character stories. I know it's hard to read, but they are there for the fans who want to learn more about these characters, which is always welcome in my book and shows me that NetEase actually cares about these characters and is willing to hit some really deep cuts. All the characters look great with designs that are very faithful to the comic book counterparts or take their comic book costumes and add a new twist to them. Some people might have some issues with characters like Spider-Man, Iron Fist, and Wolverine's base designs, but that is where the costumes come in. Right now, each character has at least 3 costumes, with some of them having 4, with a lot of them being MCU renditions of classic costumes. But we also get costumes from the comics along with Marvel Rival originals, which all look pretty nice in my opinion. Taste will vary, obviously, but what are you gonna do? At launch, Marvel Rivals even gave the Mark 42 for free with a promotional code, which you can still nab. I'll put it in the description below. Now, to make things balanced as all good things should be, I will address some of my issues and potential problems I could see with the game, getting into if changes are to be made now. Now, while I said earlier that the game does give you a handful of currency to buy costumes, ultimately it's still going to take you quite a while to buy more than one costume without spending money. Some of the suits are pretty pricey as well. Take for example the No Way Home Iron Man suit and even the Infinity War Iron Man suit, which are around 2,600 unit, which is roughly $26. Or if you bought the currency in packs, it's going to be at least $30, since you have to buy packages of currency, not just straight conversion. Now you do get more than just a skin with the MVP, intro, emote, nameplate, and spray, but it's still quite a bit for a skin. My issue is that over time there are going to be too many skins that a person would want to get, and that it might end up being really expensive, as comic book fans sure do love cosmetics. Now I don't really see a proper solution other than maybe lowering some of the prices of these suits, but ultimately it is a free-to-play game and they are cosmetics, so ultimately NetEase is going to price these the way that they want to price them. I don't really have a solution, just something to consider. The battle pass is a bigger issue in my opinion right now, as the lack of match XP and slow progression. Thankfully NetEase has assured us in a statement that each battle pass will be staying around forever, so a player who comes in at season 6 can do every battle pass from season 5 to season 0, making it impossible for FOMO to be a big issue with costumes, as something like Fortnite, which is good in my opinion. My problem is the progression of these battle passes is super slow, with the only way to earn chrono tokens, which is the currency to unlock items, and the only way to get those is to complete challenges, which only get refreshed every day or so. Games like Halo Infinite have suffered in the past by tying progression to missions, which have made players less likely to play more than like an hour at a time. Even getting like 5 chrono tokens per one match would go a long way to make players want to grind matches, as it would reward players for playing consistently. Finally, I want to talk about character imbalances and map selection, which I have mixed feelings on. First off, maps. There needs to be more, like way more. Currently, we have around 5 maps, those being Tokyo 2099, Yggdrasil, the Intergalactic Empire of Wakanda, Hydra Chatteris Base, and Clintar. Some of the maps have variants depending on the game mode, with a total of around 8 maps in the entire game, with a payload mode and domination mode. Now, most of these maps are great, with Hydra Charteris and Yggdrasil being some of my favorite, but there just is not enough map variety currently in the game. Now, this will change with time as they will release new maps, but currently I have run through the maps so many times over and over and over again. Also, can I just say, whoever thought Clintar was balanced is an absolute idiot. It has a massive disadvantage for the offensive team, making the defensive team win almost 90% of the time. I have been trapped in the spawn of this level so many times. Plus, the level is just genuinely confusing sometimes to navigate and has so many weird ass areas that serve little to no purpose in navigating the map. These aren't even flanking positions really. Word on the street is that we'll be getting a new map soon with New York that Dracula controls, based on some of the leaks and based on some of the character bios. Next, we have the heroes, which which are for the most part well balanced, except for a few heroes that just feel a bit too powerful currently. Jeff the Shark has an ultimate that can swallow an entire team and then kill them with pretty much 100% accuracy by just kamikazing off of the level, which pretty much secures a victory for the enemy team. Tanks like Groot and Penny have way too much health and are very hard to kill if they are being healed consistently. I've even entered matches where people have had 3 healers, which make it almost impossible to kill the enemy team because the tanks have so much health and they keep recovering health. So healer spam is another issue, which means that basically no one can die. It makes it incredibly difficult to even have fun on that map. Hawkeye and Black Widow both have hit scan weapons that drop you in one headshot, which just isn't fun for a multiplayer game. It's never fun to fight against people who can just drop you in one hit. It doesn't even give you a chance to fight for your life. Lastly, some of the ults feel rather weak, like Moon Knight and Widowmaker. Now, the reason I feel conflicted about this criticism is that regardless of how bullcrap some of the heroes can be, I also don't want them to do massive nerfs to these characters, because games like Overwatch in the past have nerfed characters to oblivion and have just made these characters super unfun, and has taken several weeks and even months and even years for some of these characters to be fun again. So I don't want NetEase to just take the nerf hammer to every character that's slightly overpowered. I'd rather each character be buffed to make the game overall fun. I don't necessarily want them to lean into the purely catering the esports crowd. Not saying that there can't be an esports part of this game, I just want each character to play and feel fun. So NetEase, buff characters, do not nerf. Thank you. Thank you for listening to my Tech Talk. Now comes the fun part of my job, which is talking about future heroes and future maps that I would like to see in the game moving forward. Currently, we do have a leaked list of heroes that will most likely be in the game in the coming year or so. Most of these were leaked via stuff in the game code, leaked screenshots, and plain old intuition. I'll post an article going over all the leaked characters and how they were leaked in the description, in case you would rather not be spoiled in this video. But I do have some characters and maps that I want to see added to the game. One character I'd like to see is Lightspeed from the Power Pack, which would be an awesome pick because she is currently in one of the Avengers teams in the comics in the Avengers Assembled book, and has a really unique power set as a speedster that has a rainbow trail following her. She would represent the Power Pack, and I believe she would have a bunch of cool interactions with heroes in the game, as she's a huge fangirl for most of the characters. Scott Lang would be an obvious pick, as we need an Ant-Man representative, and he has a unique power set. He can summon ants at will, and even some other bugs depending on what comic version you use for his inspiration. And he could also use his shrinking disc from the movies as projectiles. Plus he has tons of really cool suits from the comics and from the MCU, which would be really fun to see. Plus we could get the Hawkeye and Ant-Man team-up ability, with him shooting from the arrow like in the comics. Another cool character to add would be Medusa from the Inhumans, as she would attack and move by the power of her own hair. She could be a strategist who would be more of a melee fighter with a lot of flexibility and power thanks to her hair manipulation. Plus, the Inhumans really need a win now. That one live action show they had was major booty cheeks. Hazmat would be a cool choice as well, being a tank that does a lot of damage based on how close that she is with the enemy, using her radiation powers. Lastly, I would like to see Shauna or possibly even Khazar, as they could have tons of cool moves featuring dinosaurs and the creatures from the Savage Lands. Plus, they could have some team-ups with potential characters like Wolverine and Storm, who have been at the Savage Lands before. Locations I'd like to see would be Avengers Mansion, the Savage Lands, S.H.I.E.L.D. Helicarrier, the Raft, Kunlun Temple, Doom Castle, the Fantastic Four Building, the Negative Zone, and the Quantum Realm. Honestly, the possibilities are limitless for the types of levels that they could do. And I hope they don't just get stuck on adding, popular MCU locations, because I think there's a lot of cool, really deep-cut Marvel locations that they could add to levels to make them unique. Because I gotta give credit, even Glintar, even though I don't particularly like that map, it does have a really unique setting and vibe to it. It's pretty much all I have to say about Marvel Rivals. Now I'm handing off to you guys. What changes would you like to see in Marvel Rivals in the future? Is there some costumes, some characters, or some locations you'd like to see? Tell me in the comments down below. Are you enjoying Marvel Rivals? Who's your main so far? Thank you for watching this video. Hope you liked it. Hope you enjoy Marvel Rivals, and I'll catch you next time. Keep on playing games. Bye!